Hello friends, welcome. Friends, in the morning I saw this article which spoke about mobile data is getting costlier in India. Telco financial tell the story, expert explain the trend. Now this has been published in BTech today. That's okay. That's fine. All publications should be given equal importance. And then it talks about the ARPU level increasing by 300 basis point and is going to rise by 300 basis point by FY27. And if you go down below in this article, a person named Rahul Mathur is being quoted. He is a pre-seed investor in Dev India. In a post X says that over first 5 years, the cost of mobile data in India has steadily climbed, and telcos financial make up the trend crystal clear. And what is the key indicator? The key indicator is ARPU, a metric that shows how much telecom companies earning per customer has surged significantly across the board. Right? So this is the net of the story. Now, friends, is this analysis or is this conclusion correct? This is exactly what I'm going to speak in this video and analyze in this video using data. Now, the data that I'm going to use is from TRAI, right? Because that is the most authentic data that is available, and that is a reflection of all the operators' data aggregated into one place. So you will be able to get a very good understanding as to what is going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this particular chart, right? So before I get to the ARPU story, I will go to the data part. So I'll just click here and you'll see that how the average data usage per GB is increasing over a period of time. So let me just take my pen and you'll see that this is a TRAI, performance report. From the performance report, you'll see that average data usage in a yearly, I have taken a yearly time scale, has been rising steadily. FY17 it was very low, and then FY18 it was started, and as soon as the Reliance's network picked up, right, with the 4G becoming commercially viable and it expanded into many cities, you will see that there is an exponential boom, and that boom continue with 5G, right? So how do I know that? Because you see the wireless data 5G is increasing and wireless data 4G started increasing from 2019. See, it has been increasing. Now it is at 430,883 petabytes, right? So 43,000 and 83 petabytes. So it is, and the 5G wireless data is 12,762 petabytes. And you can see that the 3G data is falling, 2G data is very, very minimal, and the CDMA has, vanished from the scene, which you all know that, right? So that is one data point to look at, and this chart is in my website. I have posted this website and I keep updating as soon as the new data is available in the TRI's website. So I'm going to go now to wireless ARPU, because that's what this article is talking about, right? The key indicator is wireless ARPU. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically dissect the wireless ARPU and tell you the full story as to how the ARPU composition has changed over a period of time. So this is how it looks. So what I've done is I'll just take a time window of 12 so that the whole chart is captured in one single window. So you'll see that this is the same chart, right? And I've taken a different option. The same chart, and this is the Indian Wireless Data KPI dashboard. It's coming from TRAI, and I have taken the yearly time scale, right? 12 time units and absolute value. So if you see here, this is the yearly time scale, right, on the x-axis, and this is the total ARPU. So you'll notice that the total ARPU was, and let me just zoom a little bit more. So the total ARPU was in FY14 was 125.83 rupees. Then what happened was the ARPU remained stable, and then suddenly it dipped because of the Reliance entry, and then it started increasing, and now it is at 176.95 rupees as per TRI data. Now, because this is the gross ARPU, so I need to subtract the net enrollments. So at net enrollment ARPU gets subtracted, and the total ARPU, which is the net ARPU, is also showing a similar trajectory. It is 172.57, because if you subtract these numbers, which is basically the charges which the operators used to pay to each other, which finally vanished, as the TRAI came out with a sunset date. So now this ARPU, if you see here, 176.95 is only getting deducted with a very small number, and it is now 172.57. Now, this is where the meat of the discussion is. This is what. So let's look at what is the breakup of this number, which is total ARPU, which you can see right in this line, in this row. Now, it consists of, so this number which you see here, which has been represented here in a bar chart representing all these financial years, consists of rental. So rental costs have gone to almost zero, right, after FY20, you can see. And then the call charges, right, the call charges have been dropping. It is now almost like 15 rupees, right? And the SMS charges has also gone to very, very low level, and it is now 0.18. So what has happened is the data part of the ARPU has picked up. So when we say data became costly, it is not that the data has become real costly. It is that the composition of this total ARPU that you see here has drastically changed from a voice-centric ARPU to a data-centric ARPU, because data consumption has now been contributing to a larger chunk of this ARPU that you see here. That's all has happened, right? And the VAS ARPU is also decreasing. Other ARPUs have going in a haphazard manner, and the outroamer ARPU has gone down. So it's clear that the ARPU composition has changed because of the Reliance entry. It dipped, and then finally it has taken off, and now it is in the rising trajectory. But the composition of the ARPU has changed from call focused ARPU, call and SMS focused ARPU, to data centric ARPU, because everything has become data centric. Everybody has using data now. Whenever you are making a call also, you are using data. So the ARPU is not the reflection. So when it says that the ARPU is the key indicator, which says that the data is becoming costly, is not the key indicator. And as we move forward in this discussion, you will also notice that whatever revenue that the Indian mobile operators are earning as far as the ARPU increase is concerned is barely meeting the inflation. That is very, very clear. And all the revenue rise is happening because of number of subscriber addition. And how do I know this? You can go to my next chart. So I'll talk about the inflation part later. Here is the operator-wise subscriber trend, Indian Telecom operator. This is also TRAI data, and here I will do a yearly time scale, and I'm going to take the absolute value of subscribers, right? So you will see that the absolute value of subscribers actually was very, very low initially, and then it went down, and then it has remained largely stable. Why it remained largely stable? Because there were many operators who had contributed to these numbers, okay? Now, individual operators, right, who are Reliance Jio, Bharti, you will find that they have taken away subscriber from those operators who went out of oblivion. They went out of the market, like ARCOM, Aircel. So it is not that the overall subscriber numbers have decreased here. You see that overall subscriber numbers have remained largely static, but the subscriber has changed side. Earlier, it was spread across various operators. You can see here, there are a lot of operators here, which are shown here. Now, all these operators down below has gone into oblivion. They are no longer existing. So, all their subscribers have moved to where? It has moved to largely Jio, Bharti, right? And Vodafone Idea, which is decreasing, right? And then BSNL, which is also in a decreasing trend. So largely, if you see, it is Jio and Bharti who has taken away all the subscribers, and the overall subscribers numbers have largely remained constant. So any profitability that is being talked about here as regards the operator's average revenue per user increase is happening because of first data consumption, changing composition of ARPU, and the revenue numbers is not an accurate representation of ARPU, because even if ARPU increases only marginally, your subscriber numbers here, which you are seeing here, that Reliance Jio has been adding subscriber. It was 108.7 million in 2017. Now it is 482 million. So their revenue largely is because of rising numbers of subscriber, not because that ARPU has increased substantially. The data is clear here, right? Look at Bharti was at 277.5 million subscriber. Now it is sitting at 395.5 million subscribers. So they have taken away subscriber from other service providers. So had the market being so fractured and so many operators existed, then the situation would have been far worse for this operator, because ARPU has not increased, right? It is clear, right, from this data. The composition of ARPU has changed, but ARPU has not increased. Now, let's look at one important aspect of this whole story. What is that story? Why ARPU has not increased, and what is the main reason for that, and how much ARPU has increased versus the spending capacity of urban and rural subscriber. That's what we are going to look at in the next part of our discussion. So here you will see that this is basically a chart which I have captured from the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation report. So they come out with this survey. This survey they do for each and every year. So these are surveys which are used for calculating CPI index. CPI means consumer price index weights, right? CPI index weights. So the weights that you see here is the description of these items. So if you see that total expenditure is 100, and then you distribute each and every expenditure based on the category of spend. So consumer mobile telephony falls into this category, right? So you will notice that if you take the overall spend and take the 2011-12 as a reference, which is 1 here, you will see that the spending in year 2023-24 as regards rural, this is actually a rural sheet, is only 1.5 times, 1.45 times. And for urban, this number is, if I go to the urban sheet, you number this is 2.66. So what it basically means that almost like 15 years back, if you had been spending 100 rupees, now you are spending 266 rupees as regards urban consumers are concerned, and rural you are only spending how much? 145 rupees. So in 15 years, your spending capacity has increased of the total bucket. I'm not talking about the conveyance bucket. I'm talking about the total bucket. In rural, it is 1.45 times, and in urban, it is 2.66 times. Now, is it able to catch up with inflation? That is the next question that we are going to ask. Now, how do you know what was the inflation starting from the base year of 2011-12? How do you know that? What is the reference inflation that we have seen in our country? So for that, friends, I actually going to take you to another chart which I maintain in my website, and this chart is titled India Comparative Analysis of Bond Rate, Policy Rate and Inflation Trend, because this chart gives a very good bird's eye view of these 3 different dimensions in one single chart. Because here this is basically the RBI policy rate, this is the inflation, and this is the different duration bond rate. Now here I am going to focus only on the percentage inflation. Now if you look at, this is the combined percentage inflation, and you will notice that since I have taken quarter as the time scale, and you will notice that various quarters starting from 2014, roughly you can assume that inflation has been between, in a ballpark around 5 to 6%. Sometimes it has gone much higher. So let's assume 2014, because here what we are trying to do, we are basically trying to compare from 2017, right? That how much, or let's take 2010, right? 2010. From 2010, 11-10, because that is the reference point, and this will actually kind of resonate with this chart also, which is 2011-12, which gives you the 1.45 times. So assume that in last 15 years, there have been an inflation of 6% on an average. So if I do the calculation here, 1.06 divided to the power, how much? 50, right? So it comes out to be 2.39 times. 2.39 times, right? So 2.39 times the inflation has increased, but the rural expenditure has only increased by 1.45 times. Can you see that? In this last 15 years, the rural expenditure has increased only by 1.45 times, right? Because it is how much? 2.4 times, right? You can clearly see it is 2.4 times, right? But urban, if you go to urban, it is 2.66 times. So only in urban area, you can say the spending might have beaten the inflation, but in rural area, it has not. So therefore, the increase, now let's go to the ARPU increase of the chart that we started initially with. Now, if you look at the chart and if you take the 2014 as a reference, you can see that once, let's take this one, because this is the net ARPU. So how much per, times the ARPU has increased? 172.57 divided by 113, which is only 1.7 times. So what we are seeing now, 2.66 times, 2010, right? Till now, it has increased. Inflation has increased by 1.4 times. Means if there was something which was costing 100 rupees, it is now going to cost 240 rupees. In rural area, the spending has increased only by 1.45 times and ARPU has increased by how much? Only 1.7 times. So ARPU has not even beaten the inflation. So if ARPU has not beaten the inflation, then how can you make a conclusion like this that mobile data in India is getting costlier day by day? And how can you make a conclusion like this that it is all the representation is the key indicator is the ARPU? It's all wrong. That is the reason, friends, I did this video. It's very clear. ARPU increase has not caught up with the inflation. This is a summary conclusion. It has really, fallen behind the inflation, which has gone much higher. The operators are making revenues and profit only because they have snatched the subscribers, which of the operators who have gone out of business, right? So this is the chart. This is the chart. Where is the chart? This is the chart. So you see that these operators who have gone out of business, their subscribers have moved to these operators, and therefore there is a feeling that the revenue has increased. Actually, the revenue would have remained the same and distributed between all these operators had these operators did not go out of business. So there hasn't been overall increase of mobile revenue. Mobile revenue largely has remained constant. It has only switched buckets from distribution from all the operators. It has gone to only few operators, and these operators are able to survive only because of the fact that they have been able to raise their subscriber numbers by snatching subscriber from other operators, and their ARPU has not increased because of the pressure that they have. The Indian economy, the consumers in Indian economy, especially the rural area, doesn't have the spending power, and their spending power has not caught up to the inflation, the rural inflation, which is now higher than the urban inflation. So that is the net conclusion. And that's why one of the video that I did earlier, that Indian mobile industry is the highly taxed mobile industry with 31% of the revenue, of the total revenue which is emanating from these services, which is ARPU, is going to the government. So government is heavily taxing the Indian mobile industry. The overall income of the consumers are not increasing. Indian population is not increasing, so it is quite natural the ARPU will never increase to the level that the operators are expecting, because the people don't have the spending capability, except you can say in the urban areas. But rural areas, they really are going downhill. India with a $4 trillion economy, the disparity has increased so much that only a few people who is contributing to the overall economy and the rest of the populations are going downhill, which is clear from data. Okay, friends, thank you for your time. I hope that you like this video, and thanks for watching till the end, and I'll come back with a new video next time on a new topic. Thank you very much for listening till the end.